this is Spanner for the Spanner Rick Show. We're here with another awesome episode, and we have another future D1 North Dakota athlete on the show, Taya Mopfoff. Hopfoff. Hey! Oh, no, hey, this is Spanner for the Spanner Rig Show. We're here with another awesome episode. We have another total baller, another Division I North Dakota athlete, Taya Hopfoff. Did I get that right? Taya Hopfoff from Dickinson, 5-year starter, going to play for the Fighting Sioux. And this is going to be an awesome episode. Come on. Hey, we're here. We're still continuing our little segment of North Dakota kids and where they're going. And today we were with a absolute stud, total baller, Taya Hopfoff. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Baller. I like that.
He was looking for having to maybe do another take, and we have to cut this out. So
no new takes. But hey, catcher for Dickinson. And before we ask you questions, I'll tell a little story here, okay? So I watched you play 6 times, I think, this spring, which is I probably favored you guys a little bit amongst the spring sports, but I'm a baseball, softball guy. I like that. You might not know this, but I coached a couple years of college softball back in the day. But they're playing Central Cass, and it's like 40-mile-an-hour winds or something, and it's coming directly from third base toward home plate, right? And so this is a tight game. Central Cass had bases loaded, no outs in the first inning, and they poke one through the Dickinson second baseman into right. Girl scores, and then your right fielder or maybe the second baseman ran out and got it. They chucked her out at home, which was a pretty cool play. Nice play by Taya there. But as the game went on, it was 1-1, and Central Cass had a runner at second, and she tried to steal third, and Taya, into a 40-mile-an-hour wind, gunned her out at third.
No way.
Yeah, dude, I was like, whoa.
When you're saying that, I'm like, that's a gimme. Like, you got to chuck that ball, and then sometimes the wind catches it, and then you guys got to move. That's impressive.
But and then at the end of that game, Central Cass knocked one into center with a girl on second. They sent her home, and you tagged her out at home. Do you remember that play?
Honestly, I don't. There's been a lot of stuff I've played. So.
Absolutely.
No, that's okay. But I know you want to ask that. How it came about.
Yeah,
no. Go ahead and ask it.
Okay, so pretty awesome. We've been doing with these segments is seeing kids go from high school level to college. It's really special to see, I call, she's going to be mad at me, Dickinson, kind of a smaller Class A, but make it to UND, which is amazing. That's awesome. It's a great accomplishment. So what led you to UND? Obviously, if you're going to UND, you must have had a lot of options to play, but what steered your way to pick UND to play at the next level?
Yeah, so I always knew that college softball was something that I wanted to pursue and to really push for. And without really even knowing it, UND kind of just fell into my lap, I guess. The 2 coaches for the team actually umped me my sophomore year. And as soon as I was old enough for them to reach out, they did. And they told me that they had been watching me play and they'd been behind the plate when I was catching. And just it kind of took off from there. I knew that regardless of if I was going to play college softball, UND was a school that I would want to go to academically. And then softball kind of got thrown into the mix, and it was just a perfect combination of the both.
So tell me, are you playing UND Fighting Sioux, or are you playing for the UND Fighting Hawks in your heart?
My family's definitely a Fighting Sioux family. We always have been.
Oh, yeah. I don't even want to ask this question, but I'll ask. I'm going to throw old Riggs here a bone. Yeah. North Dakota's team. What's North Dakota's team? Fighting Sioux hockey or Bison football? Or is it a tie?
Honestly, I feel like it's got to be a tie. For my family, we've always been a Sioux hockey family, but I know that there's a lot of controversy over Bison football and Sioux hockey.
Oh boy, I tell ya.
So you've been a 5-year starter, right, at catcher for Dickinson? Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like
As an 8th grader?
I'm telling you, man. Okay,
As
so
an 8th grader?
yeah, dude. So
my
I,
goodness.
I was Division I coach, Division II coach, NAIA
impressive.
coach, junior college coach.
That is impressive.
I won 8 consecutive California State high school championships as a coach. I've seen a million athletes in my 25 years, and I saw pretty much every high school in North Dakota this winter and this spring. And man, I gotta tell you, North Dakota, and you're getting to go to play with Babe Ruth, right? Logan from Bismarck. I mean, you're one of the most impressive high school athletes I've seen in 25 years. And one thing that maybe our viewers don't know, Dickinson's kind of got a legacy there at catcher, right? I mean, are you like the 3rd starting catcher in school history or something like that? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's impressive. So explain to us, for some of our viewers who aren't from North Dakota, but what is it like to play at Dickinson and basically turn into a powerhouse? Is it just something that starts at the younger age groups, that there's just more girls involved? Is there great coaching? Explain to us why Dickinson has just turned into such a powerhouse at women's softball.
I feel like for Dickinson, there's definitely more of a focus on softball in the community. We start out at 8 years old and they're on the field, and right now our fields are completely packed until the day gets dark. It's just a sport that is played throughout the summer every day for all grades, all age levels. And when you get to high school, it definitely becomes more serious. Our Dickinson High School program for softball is very intense, and it's run really well. And when you get into the sport, you just get hooked because of how well it's run.
This is a perfect example, because him and I have talked, and we talked about the 3 divisions and the 2 divisions for North Dakota, and he's kind of chipped at Dickinson a little bit, being maybe a Class B school. His smile right there.
Oh, yeah.
And I always say, if you get someone that puts a program in place, the best athletes will cling to it, and you can compete for a state championship. And Dickinson's done that. And I had the opportunity to interview Kelly Armstrong in one of our previous shows, and he was at your state championship victory over Bismarck a year ago. Tell us about his impact maybe in youth baseball and softball, and what it meant to you to have him show up to your guys' state championship game.
Kelly is very involved in our Dickinson community. He's been a really close family friend of mine for my whole life. I've always known who he was, and then he just kind of blew up, and now everyone knows who he is. So to have him be able to shout out Dickinson softball and big stages, and then to come and show up and be there and to support his hometown, it's really impressive, and it's fun to see that support from somebody who is as important as he is now.
Absolutely. So you said brothers played baseball and now you're softball. Are you a Twins fan or Colorado? I mean, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite baseball team?
I really don't. I feel like in our house we just watch them all and just watch the game be played.
Wow, that's.
Is your dad a MLB extra innings guy? Gets all the games, or you guys just kind of watch the games on ESPN or Fox Sports or what?
Honestly, our family is definitely more of a college softball family where we're watching that as much as can whenever it's on.
So you root for Oklahoma or what? They're always there. What's that?
We actually the games, so that was really awesome.
Oh, really?
Wow. That's impressive. I mean, you talk about the domination. What was it? They had 53 wins, and 40 of them or something were 10 run them or whatever it is.
Yep.
I'm like, that's insane. Like, that is an insane statistic.
No, it's craziness. It's craziness. So tell us a little bit about what the Fighting Hawks / Sioux have given you for the summer. Have they given you any workouts you got to do? And have they told you anything about what they expect of you from your freshman year? Are you going to redshirt? Do you have a chance to start? You're going to platoon hit? Or tell us a little bit about that transition from Dickinson to Division I.
Yeah, I definitely am going to be in for a big change. I know. They have given me a summer workout schedule where I'm going and I'm lifting and conditioning every day. And then for next year, I'm not going to redshirt, just going to go out and try my best to be able to be one of those starting 9.
Wow, I love that. I love that confidence. And then academically, you talked about going to, you would love to go to that school, UND. Do you have what kind of aspirations do you have for your, for what you want to take in school?
I plan right now to be a speech pathologist, so I'll get my minor or my undergraduate in communication sciences and disorders is what my degree will be, and then hopefully go on and get my master's in speech pathology.
Right on. Wow.
I like that.
Absolutely.
I like that.
That's great. I tell you, she's determined. I mean, like, clearly, if you're a 5-year starter as a catcher, that's impressive.
It's amazing. I mean,
unbelievable.
like she looks like a general. Her defense is good. Her stick's good. It's arm's good.
Like throwing in that 40-mile-an-hour wind, it's got to be good.
Yeah,
I don't even have that arm strength.
Yeah, I played second base for a reason. I had a spaghetti arm. But hey, so tell me, like when you're at the plate, the approach, when you get to that Division I level pitcher and the rise balls and the change ups and whatnot, what's the transition going to be like as a hitter? And then and tell me what the transition is going to be like, catching Division I pitchers that are maybe hitting 68, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big transition. I know hitting wise, I'm just going to have that mentality that it's going to be a transition. It's going to take time, but I just have to trust the process and eventually it'll come around when it does. As a defensive point, catching, it's going to be different catching pitchers who have that speed and that movement, but I'm up for the challenge and ready for that change.
My last question I got is, you said that you have 2 brothers. Are they older brothers?
Yes, they're both
Okay,
older.
so I'm assuming they play baseball. Did they, were they pitching to you at a young age and that's just where you developed your love for the game?
I think my love for the game definitely developed from those 2, from my brothers, but I think it was a sport that I actually could have had a future in as a younger age where I wasn't going to grow up and play high school football. So playing catch in the backyard with a football wasn't as intriguing to me as playing catch with a baseball or softball was. And the fact that I could have a future in a sport that they also did or a similar sport to what they had a future in was definitely intriguing for me.
Awesome.
Can you tell us, and this is the kind of the moment where you can throw some shouts out, to like, who runs your youth program, a youth coach that really taught you a lot, because I think there's a lot of youth coaches behind the scenes for some of these championships, Minot swimming and whatnot, right?
Yep.
Obviously Bismarck wrestling. And then talk to us about your, your head coach. And I sat on both sides in the Jamestown semifinal, right? So I was on your side, their side. I was bouncing back and forth, and I was watching the coaches, the players' interaction. And your coach was an absolute stallion leader. Jamestown hit a grand slam in the first inning. They were down 4-0. And Dickinson got one, and then obviously the walk-off there in the extra innings. Or the bottom of the 7th, was it? But just talk about your coaches along the way and kind of what they mean to you and what they mean to the community of Dickinson.
Yeah, growing up, my biggest coach and the person I definitely learned the most from is my dad. He was my youth coach growing up and my summer coach. And when I wasn't playing for a league team and I was playing on a travel team, he was there with me every step of the way. The next coach that probably had an impact on me was the first catching coach I ever had. Her name is Claire Shoffett. She taught me basically everything I know about catching. I never really had anyone who was telling me what to do, giving me all those tips and tricks growing up. So she had a huge impact on me. And then, Coach Mickey, of course, when I got to that high school level, she's just completely different than anything I'd ever had. She's organized, she's ready, she's just always has a plan. She knows what she wants, and you have to be able to deliver it to be able to meet those expectations at all times.
It was neat to see former Dickinson players in the stands. at the game, which I thought was pretty cool. It just shows you the culture of what's going on over there. What's the hardest pitch to catch, block the plate, and not allow a pass ball on?
I feel like it definitely depends on the pitcher and it depends on the day. Some days pitches work really well and they're well executed, and some days it's just not in the cards to have that pitch in your arsenal.
Good answer.
Yeah, she's like dialed in and ready to go.
I tell you, for a guy that didn't know much about fast pitch, and we hung out with a couple of our guys who were dating fast pitch softball girls about a rise ball, and come on, so we would go in the backyard of this thing, and one girl would fire, and I'm like, holy cow, like that's opposite of what do you call it, gravity and physics, but it was pretty remarkable to see that, and a lot of us hockey guys were pretty mesmerized to see the ball, actually take up. So that like I said, and now I've got an 8-year-old playing, fast pitch right now, and she absolutely loves it. So it feels like I'll be following a lot more and learning a lot more about how that works.
What's Dickinson got coming up to replace you, and then what is Dickinson? You guys are losing a few seniors there. I mean, can they make a run next year? I know all the Bismarck schools are losing a lot. Jamestown looks pretty tough next year, and Minot seems like it might be kind of tough next year. What's your thoughts on the WDA? I know you're going to be a Fighting Sioux, and maybe you'll be moving on from it, but it sounds like Dickinson kind of cares a little bit more than a lot of alumni. What's your thoughts on WDA next year?
I feel like I'll definitely be biased and say that Dickinson has a good shot again. I know that our program is very developed, and at a young age, you know what your expectations are. So although we lost 6 seniors this year, we have plenty of younger girls that are ready to step up to the challenge and to fill those roles and to be able to perform next year at a varsity level.
So the number one current dynasty in North Dakota sports right now, and I'll whittle it down to 2. I mean, you got Minot soccer is pretty good, and you got Four Winds basketball is pretty good, whatnot, right? But the number one dynasty, I'll whittle down to Minot High boys swimming and Dickinson gymnastics. You can be biased if you want, but if you want to level, which one's the number one dynasty right now in North Dakota sports?
I'll say Dickinson gymnastics, hands down.
Wow, that's impressive.
They've won 7 in a row.
That's pretty impressive for a Class B school.
He's like, what is this guy doing? No, it's just big jokes with Spader, but that is, in truth be told, that is very impressive. And I'd like to see it, I wish I'd like to see it more from, those other kind of smaller Class A towns like Williston. I would love to see them to try
They
to
dominate cross country.
Yeah.
I mean, no, like they throttle. It's not close.
Wow.
They've won back-to-back cross-country championships, girls and boys, both of them. So it's really weird. It's like all these schools, they have little niches, and it starts with the youth programs, just like Dickinson softball and baseball. Taya, it's been awesome having you on.
Absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love watching your team play this year. You want a funny story about one of your games?
Sure.
So I'm out there. They're getting ready to play Valley City. And this one of the grandparent or a parent from Valley City recognizes me, and he walks up and he goes, "This is going to be a good game." And I said, "I don't think so." He goes, "Oh, yes, it is. We beat them in the summer." And I said, "Well, let me tell you about something about summer softball. Dickinson plays with only Dickinson. All the other teams gather the best players from as many teams as they can, And I said, I go, right now, Dickinson's a juggernaut. They're a runaway train, and this is not going to be a close game. He goes, "Oh, well, we'll just see." And you guys scored like 9 runs in the first inning.
No way. Wow.
Then you guys hit 2 bombs in the first inning. And do you remember that game against Valley City? I think it was in the windiest place on earth, the Fargo Soccer Complex.
Yep, I remember.
Oh, man,
it was pretty funny. He looked at me. He's like, "Man."
Did you see him afterwards?
Just after the first inning. I went to the Dickinson side after the first inning, but I like to go back and forth. I like to watch the players' interaction with each other. I like to watch the players' interaction with the coaches. I just talk to people as the game goes on. But that was an interesting sign, and
good.
I think it showed how good Dickinson is, and it unfortunately it didn't work out for you guys in that tight state championship game. But I mean, you got to feel good about your career. Your career was amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. We appreciate this. Was awesome, and like I said, kudos to you. And we do, like I said, we like to see those cool stories of kids playing at the next level. So we'll definitely be following along to see how your journey works. With the Fighting Sioux. Fighting Sioux.
So if I make it to a Fighting Sioux softball game, I'll loop through, do my Spainer Riggs high school stuff there. When you guys are at home, will you give me a post game interview?
Yes, of course.
That's baller, dude.
Right on.
That's baller. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, hey, here we are with the Beat Spainer Challenge, and we're going to pick it, the Brevera Workout Warrior of the Week.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot for the sake of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for the sake of old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for the sake of old lang syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot for the sake of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang.
If you want to be the Brevera Workout Warrior of the Week, or you want to enter into the contest, make sure that you hashtag Brevera Workout Warrior. It's on all of my TikToks, and at Spainer and Riggs. And remember this, the top Class A school that posts the most gets $1,000 from Brevera for athletics facility renovations. The top Class B school also gets $1,000 for athletic facility renovations. The top male athlete that posts the most gets an interview with their best friend on the plane, on the Spainer plane. And the top female athlete that posts the most gets an interview with their best friend on the Spainer plane. So, let's rock.
Another great episode here on the Spainer and Riggs show. We're excited. We had a great chat with Taya. And man, I learned a lot about Dickinson and how they've been able to be a powerhouse playing women's softball. We're just going to keep these things rolling for our next episodes. We want to make sure we dive in to find out more athletes statewide. We like to see their stories, where they get to the next level. That's the stuff that I know you guys want to see, and that's the stuff that Spainer and I always like to talk about. Stay tuned for our next Spainer and Riggs episode, brought to you by the Dakotan.